one way of putting it. All right, well, I'm going to back out here, and you guys go for it.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Oh, what was it? Something I said? I guess.
Yeah, I know. We asked him if he wanted to join, and yeah, he may pop in and out. He said.
Ah, okay.
So,
or just a voice from
just a
above
voice,
may come in. So
kind of the voice of God in the background.
Hey, Amy asked before she left, told us to ask you, how's Marcy doing?
Yeah.
She's doing great. She started her own business last year, and it's incrementally, it's just kind of slowly growing, and what she loves is she's not under the thumb of corporate America anymore. It's her own thing to do, and she has all the freedom in the world to run it the way she wants to and market it the way she wants to. And she's really, really good at networking.
Yeah.
She has connections, just mind-boggling connections all over the place. And she's just thrilled with what she's doing.
Good.
And she does it at her own pace, which is nice.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
What about you guys?
Still,
I'm
I'm still working. I'm still grinding out.
Good.
40, 50-hour week, and Chris is doing the same thing now. And Chris works more. He's retired, but he works more.
My wife and I say we run a nonprofit daycare for grandchildren.
Yeah.
We have 10 grandchildren, and I bet today we had 5 of them over at the house. So,
oh wow.
Yeah.
Makes you feel young again, right?
Well,
no,
yeah,
not really.
A little bit. some not. Yeah. Tomorrow we'll have an 18-month-old for about 10 hours. So.
Oh wow.
That is a long day with an 18-month-old. He's into everything.
Do you remember how to take care of an 18-month-old?
Oh yeah, we've been doing this for quite a while. So it came right back to us.
Chris is natural. He's great with little kids.
Oh, I love babies.
I bet.
Love babies.
Natural. Love getting together, and we, as you saw on the show a little bit, we was wanting to change things up. We still don't know what we're going to do, if anything, really. So
right,
we was thinking of different things, or maybe reaching out to other people and just talking to people, and then may or may not use that, as far as they can encourage anybody. So you was one of the names that popped up. That's why, we're doing this call or whatever. But think about you.
We got to do this Moneypenny guy and get that over with.
Yeah,
get that over. Yeah,
get him out.
Out.
It's kind of a test run, see how things go. See how it's going. We kind of wanted to keep that going, but at the same time, I know wanted to get out of any kind of a rigid box. Like because it was so weird to me. Like I couldn't not have this Friday video. Like
yeah.
No, like I said, we don't have. Who cares? It doesn't matter,
No, you can watch it anytime you want.
No, it doesn't matter. But it just became,
right.
It just became a thing. Like, well, yeah, I'm gonna put something out there.
That's awesome.
We was always getting together.
Yeah, John, you're talking to two tech wizards here. When we started our show, we would put our phone on a tripod, and then one of us would run around the other side to see if we were both in. We didn't know you could press a button and it would immediately flip it while we were sitting there.
That's great. That's too funny.
So, there have been some things like that we went, oh, well, this is nice. This is a nice feature. So
I've always thought how generous and loving Father has been to you two guys to have each other.
Oh, yes.
I always think about, because it's like, who else shares like this, and has a brother right there, in proximity, and you guys can get together and share all this with people. So many, most of us don't, because it seems like there's very, very few of us that are quite this insane. And and the two of you, can get together whenever you want. Basically,
right.
I think that's just wonderful.
Yeah, we are
really do very unusual.
very great.
Oh, I got to tell you a quick story. We sold our house that was down in Denver, and we moved south to the suburbs of Denver in an area called Highlands Ranch. And so we were looking for houses, et cetera, tons of neighborhoods, communities, and we finally settled on Highlands Ranch. Well, after we move in, I think it was after we moved, we come to find out that Scott and Sherry Duncan live in the same neighborhood that we were moving into. And so Marcy and I were like, yes, this is going to be so awesome. We can see them on a fairly regular basis, just hang out, whatever. And then we find out they're right around the corner from where we live in this huge community, literally just right up the road from where we are. And then like 3 days later, we find out they're moving. They're moving. Can you believe that is? And so, talk about this weird stuff that Father does, and you try to figure, Father, why did you arrange that? That's really weird. So that's like, why did you do that? I mean, surely you wanted us all to hang out together here in this neighborhood and see each other on a regular basis. And he just, and he just he had other plans. So he, orchestrated all of that. That's what he wanted. We just trust him because we know and realize something about him, about his sovereignty and his love, and how he orchestrates the whole thing and directs our steps. Mm-hmm. And so while we were emotionally we were bummed out about it. Yeah, we knew something, because we've come to know Father even more and more intimately over the past few years, especially. And so there's a peace. There's just a piece there, and okay, all right, it's okay. That's what you wanted. What's next, Father? What do you got next?
I think Dean and I we've always appreciated that we have each other, to bounce stuff off of and so forth.
Yeah.
But as we started the shows and stuff, your comment is a comment we heard over and over again. People saying, gosh, I wish I had somebody, right here close, So then I think that drove it home even more that this is special that we live so close and have this close friend, and our families are close. And so I'm very grateful. Every now and again, we'll be talking and Amy will tell me how much she loves Florida. And I'm all the time thinking, here it comes.
Uh-oh. No. That's clearly not what Father wants. That's not his plan.
Yeah, sometimes Amy overrules.
Yeah.
Amy knows best.
Too funny.
Well, who knows? Okay, so on that thought, you guys got my brain now going a little bit. Because I've heard this.
I could hear the wheels.
Yeah, you hear it.
Like a hamster wheel.
So be patient. Be patient, please. I mean, Chris will end up telling a story for me eventually. I'll get it out. But get this going. Get these wheels turning. No, on that, we have heard what Chris said. We've heard that a lot. And that is, and we totally get it, understand it, and we do appreciate it. I have come to see maybe a little bit, or it's just my own thinking. When we started this journey, or when we really got on to some of these truths, you start following other people and learning about other people and other people that are teaching, and so we're learning more. And then you're in groups, whether we're online or through the computer, the internet, and of course there's these connections, but everybody's all spread out. So we want to be connected with others, that understand you. And so anyway, what I'm getting at, because when I started some of this, there was a lot of conflict or pushback from others, people in my, that are close to me that I love.
Yeah.
But I came to learn that all this pushback was, well, I'll just say it was all like, if there was a fault, I mean, it's all Father, but it was all me. All my like I wasn't getting the framing of like getting persecuted for what I believe or something like that. Well, now I'm seeing that past stuff. Like, okay, that's a little ridiculous. Like I'm not really concerned if someone thinks, hey, Dean, what you're thinking here is kind of crazy. I get it. I mean, what Paul's saying is crazy,
Yeah.
So that it's not offensive at all if someone thinks, yeah, you're nuts or whatever. What I was doing with that sometimes, I was wanting to change someone's thinking into mine, get them to believe like me.
Yeah.
Or get them in something because I'm in something now. So we got to get them in. Because I'm on the truth.
Yeah.
So all that struggle, I'm just personally sharing. It started falling away when I quit. It was my own struggle.
Yeah.
It was my own struggle.
But we couldn't see it at that point.
So I'm wondering I'm just wondering if anybody out there, if there's anybody that would encourage, if some people are in such a struggle, it sounds like, with close family members, they long for others. They long, or they see something like us and think, man, I wish I had that.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
Yeah.
And maybe they could see that, well, really, you can have that. You can even have that with others because Father's in everybody.
Right.
He's in control of everybody.
Right.
Everything came out of Father. Everything's coming back to him.
Mm-hmm.
We're all connected, divinely connected.
Yep.
And I think relationships can be, it can be looked at differently. And then you can still connect with people through, now we have all these ways to connect with people that do share these crazy beliefs, with us. And so then you can bounce stuff off each other or call each other or talk to people. And you might not be able to do that with, your close family members. But I'm okay with that now.
Yeah.
And I was more caught up in trying to change everybody.
Oh, me too. And you guys have heard me speak before, and over the years, and I think I've been what you're describing there. That's been me too. And over the past few years, Father has just kind of settled me down and softened my heart. And I think because He has given me the realization of how full His sovereignty is and how in control He is, that I don't have to feel like I need to, impose my will onto somebody to believe what I have come to believe either. I'll share with people, but then you can kind of tell, like, after sharing a couple of things with somebody or whatever, how they respond, whether they'll be receptive or not. And the ones that you can tell are not, and you want to keep the relationship for the most of the time. So you just, leave it alone, or there's so many resources that I've got, especially from the study shelf, just been incredible. And so I'll just, send that on to somebody or hand it to them and say, hey, I get it, totally get it. I know it sounds crazy. Here's a book, and the Bible is our truth and our authority, et cetera, et cetera. But this book has really been instrumental, filled with scripture. You can study them all out. But here, if you're interested, great. If not, that's fine too.
Yeah.
And then just move on in the relationship.
Yeah.
That's been new to me over the past, 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, now that's kind of my strategy in talking with people. I've been on, I have an account on X that I've had for a number of years. And I looked the other day and I have almost 7,000 posts on there, 7,000. And what I did was initially I set it up and I followed like all the big names in Christianity and then all the biggest accounts on X that were, religious, pretty much all of them from a Christian perspective. And I would just confront them. It was a confrontation, and it was debates and arguments back and forth. And it was just, I look back on it now and I want to delete half of them, my posts. And I can see over the years how they've softened, and I can still share what I believe, and people respond. Some people get angry. Some people get very angry.
Yeah.
at what is shared. And you just learn to kind of feel out the situation and maybe share a couple more things. But then, hey, if you want to learn more, I've got another almost 7,000 posts over here if you want to look at them.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then I get these followers that trickle in. I think I have 300 followers now
Yeah.
on there, and I don't know where they came from.
Yeah.
Most of them. But that's kind of my way of kind of getting the word out.
Yeah.
And then I am part of that Facebook group, the Ignorant Brethren. I think James Fine is the administrator of that.
Yeah.
It's mainly sharing a lot of study shelf material, Clyde and Stephen Hill and a lot of others. That's another thing I really like about study shelf is it's not all Clyde.
Right.
It's not all Stephen.
No.
It's not all anybody.
Lots
it's
of
just
authors.
it's just this wonderful variety of people, a lot of them historical, figures from way back in centuries. Just, sharing what they've come to learn. They're not all, I don't think anybody's really on the same page completely as anybody else. We're all just kind of these unique projects that Father is, working on and revealing certain things to at certain times in our lives. But anyway, I just love the variety of that. And you can, as he matures you can look at some of this material and say, no, that's not for me. I've moved on from that. I don't believe that. But boy, this is really good right here in this chapter. You know what I'm saying?
Very much. I'm tracking real good with you.
Yeah. And so that way you're not. I've been there before. I don't want to follow anybody, and I don't want to rely. I don't want to rely on anybody else but Father to teach me through the Word. And I find that in the past when I've done that, I become so allegiant to this person that I in many ways become blind to anything not new, but new to me, something that Father hadn't shown me up until that point. Sometimes there's a lot of talk about, why is someone teaching this now that they've found something new? Well, no, they're just, Father's just brought them into a realization of something that's really been there all along. And now they're just excited about it. They believe it, they're convinced of it, and they want to share it. And if it resonates with people, great. If it doesn't, that's fine too. We're all just on this constant journey of learning and coming to know God as our Father in an intimate relationship.
Right.
And so anyway, I kind of blathered on there, but that just came to my mind, that stuff there.
I appreciated it because the process, has a lot of similarities with what I've experienced. Another thing that has continued to show itself is how it's no wonder that all of these stories, they're all unique. Each one of them is unique. If you also look at these journeys, sort of imagine them like a timeline. Well, of course, we're all on different timelines.
Yes.
I look back at what I thought truth was, in my religious training. This was, a truth. There was this terrible place called hell. I would try to defend that, thinking that was truth. Now I gave it up for better truth. And it's amazing going forward. Even today, I wonder, what will I know or have realization about tomorrow or a year from now? What's going to open up, When people started getting into this pre-existence, the potential for Christ to have pre-existed, or does he not, I was like, I've never even heard of this.
That was funny when you said that to me. or the way you put it. Like,
Yeah, I was like, now I've got to decide that. Now I've got to come down with
what? I didn't know there was something to talk about.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't even know this was a position we need. So, right away, you were starting to hear some stuff about this side and this side, and I was like, oh, for crying out loud, where did this come from?
Yeah,
And it was funny. My very first initial thoughts were, I think I thought that there was a reason for pre-existence. And then the more I've read and stuff, now I'm like, okay, man, there's some really good stuff that says he didn't pre-exist, and but now I did get very comfortable with, I don't need to state one way or another. I'm leaning on Father and Father's timing. When he fleshes this out for me so that I have more understanding, I'm totally fine with that. And that's been a peaceful part of the journey now, is not putting myself, you said earlier, in a box, where I need to be here or I need to be there. Screw that. I'm not going to have somebody talk me into that.
Yeah, I find that I'm the same way too. In situations like that in the past, I think I felt like I had to immediately make a decision, like right then and there. As soon as I found out, I need to be in one of these camps here and hurry up about it.
Yeah.
But before I do, who's in this camp and who's in that camp? Because I want to make sure I'm in the right. It's like no. And I do appreciate the people who really have dived in, whatever the word is, into that topic. I appreciate that. I can't listen to it all day, every day, and go and sit there with the debates back and forth. I'm just not. I don't have the patience. I'm not interested.
I'm not built that way.
Right, but that's I have to. I know that's Father not giving me the interest. If he wanted me to dive into all that stuff, then he'd be compelling me to do that.
Yeah,
and he hasn't. I've looked at it. I've done a little studying about it, but I think I kind of lean towards his non-pre-existence, but I'm really not sure, and I don't need to make a declaration about it necessarily. It's kind of fascinating at times. Other times it's like, I've heard this 100 times. I really don't care.
Yeah.
Get me out of here.
That is good to me. I like it.
Oh, I like it too. Just the thought. Yeah, I'm with you guys, tracking with you guys. To me, there's so much more to learn. And like I said, nothing's new or however we state that, but to think that there's not so much for me to learn, like I'm just getting started. There's so much to learn. And I don't know how anybody could say that. I mean, the top, like I said, genius minds and scholars of our day can't figure it all out, right? So there's so much to learn just from that standpoint, from a historical perspective, or where do these words come from? What are the words really saying? The context of them. What were really people thinking when they read them for the first time? And then the whole environment, as people are digesting these words for the first time, they don't have any of the other words. They don't have any of the, that's what's amazing to me. So there's so much to learn. Like when someone's getting a letter from Paul, or they meet this Paul guy, and then they hear from him, and then they're writing to him. Well, they don't have any of the New Testament letters. They don't have any of the Gospels. They don't have anything. They have no knowledge of any of that information whatsoever. So they're getting a few words here from one letter in one context. So to say there's not more to learn about those kinds of things, I mean, there's so much for me to learn about that. So that is not scary. That to me, that I'm going to get off on the wrong track or something. Right. I'm no longer I'm not in a camp, and don't want to be in one. Don't, like you said, we don't have any leaders today. We don't have anybody that has the authority today, or someone to come speak and here's the truth.
That's correct. There's no one. There are people that are really good teachers, but they're not anointed. They're not anointed. There's nobody that has any special anointing. There's people that can articulate the scriptures very well, and they from what I've heard and seen, that they have a very good grasp of them. But there's things at times that I'm like, that's not lining up with anything I understand here. But to say you've got it all wrapped up with a bow, and you don't learn anything beyond what you already understand that might be a slight variation of it, or even a radical change from it, is just, I think that's something that Father also has worked in me too, is just, John, you don't know everything. And as much as you're convinced of what it is you do know, you need to be receptive to, at least just to listen, and trust me, and Father's telling me, trust me, that if it's a bunch of nonsense, you'll know. And if not, either way, just, you don't know everything. And neither does anyone else. Yes. No one. Yeah. There's no one like that. Yeah. So, well, I would always encourage people to, I heard what so-and-so said or taught, check it out yourself in the scriptures. Right. You don't need that person. You don't need your pastor. That's another thing I'll share on X at times is, pastors, they're not for this administration at all. They're not to be part of this administration. So it's so ridiculous that, well, Father planned it all. I know that. In a relative sense, it's so ridiculous to see all these egotistical, power hungry pastors, in these high lofty positions where all the people just sit there and whatever you say, pastor, you're the pastor. So, and that makes people on X very angry also. Yeah. So especially the pastors. Oh, so what I was going to say was, that reminded me that because like Marcy and I don't have a ministry. We used to have a ministry. We don't have any ministry anymore. We're so glad we don't have a ministry, let alone be a part of a church organization business. But when your livelihood is dependent upon what you've been teaching for years and years and years, and you've grown your followers to these massive numbers, it's all relative, but when you have all these followers and you, of course, have the money coming from them to support your ministry, you really are stuck. You can't, it's hard to just say, hey guys, Father has come to teach me that what I was teaching here, all this about whatever, about hell or whatever, or free will, or, I have a totally different perspective, different perspective now. Well, there goes out the door, and you're done. Yeah. And now you got to get a real job. Yeah. So, there's freedom.
I remember living that in a sense with you, from afar, but I watched you go through that without knowing the details. But back when you and Marcy had the ministry, and then all of a sudden the conflict started. Yeah. I didn't know everything that was going on behind the scenes. I heard a little bit at the time, but then had my own emotion or my own struggle at the time too. Yeah. But I can't imagine what you were going through.
It was crazy. It was crazy because we were part of several grace ministries prior to starting our own. And then after we did, or kind of towards the tail end of when we left the one we were with previously, Father started, kind of dropping these subtle little things into our minds and in our hearts that he did more through Christ than we ever thought. Now, this is not new additions to Scripture. This is like nothing new. It's him bringing us into a realization of something that to us personally seems very, very new. And then on top of that, to really crush our ministry, he had us just go ahead and start like 100 miles an hour with sharing this with people through our newsletter and our teachings live and all that sort of stuff. And we had a peace about it, though. We
Yeah.
really did. It was, and we knew the consequences that were coming.
You knew it was
And-
right. You knew this was right.
We could not teach this. We
Right.
could not teach that through Christ's death, burial, and resurrection, Father would save all mankind. That is ultimately the plan. And so we start sharing this, and all of the grace people that were following us became these just angry, bitter, spiteful, hateful people. It was so bizarre. Just folks that we, had a few weeks ago visited, or, just
Right.
had fairly close relationships with. They were just completely offended and disgusted with us, etc. And Marcy took a lot of the brunt of it, because women, I think, enjoy more the camaraderie and the relationships and all that. Yes, the social part of it too. And so some of the stuff that she had to listen to and endure, it was just crushing to her. And after that, she was just like, I don't want to ever have anything to do with any ministry, church, whatever, ever again. And ultimately, that's what we experienced and decided. And that was the best thing, one of the best things that ever happened to us as far as our relationship with Father.
Mhm.
And so it's one of those, you look back on it now, and you're
Right.
very, very grateful. But at the time, it was, it was painful. And it was just there was a lot of suffering. And I know you guys, recently you've talked quite a bit about joy and all that. And I was thinking the other day how happiness is typically based on circumstances. This works out, that works out. It's all good stuff, and now you're happy. But joy is this internal, intrinsic, deep down in you, knowledge and awareness and realization that brings you this kind of this confidence, and in reference to Father, of course, and the circumstances that you're going through. And I think understanding his sovereignty ties in with that greatly. When he's sovereign, and he's perfect love, and the ultimate plan that the plan is save all mankind, reconcile everyone to himself, etc. When that's the bottom line plan, then a lot of these things that you go through, while emotionally they're tough, something wonderful, and that there's a reason why these things are occurring. And nobody promised you, a rosy life anyway.
Mhm.
Now lots of times Christianity will set a lot of people up for that. Like, you become a Christian and then everything's just wonderful and blah, 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 blah. And then people get discouraged and disillusioned by the, does that make sense?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So, but I was thinking about the joy is more of, it's a once you come to this point of knowledge and realization of who Father is and what his plans are and how he operates, etc., that's kind of permanent. It becomes permanent in you.
Yeah.
It's almost like something that you can't just ignore. It's just in you.
Right.
And that brings you joy in these circumstances where you suffer. Not that you're not in pain from the suffering, but
Right.
you know something and realize something. I had, just as an aside, I had back surgery back in March, and it didn't go well. The incision got infected.
Mm.
And it was awful, and the pain was excruciating. It was in the middle of my back, so I couldn't sit in a chair and lean back in it. I couldn't turn over, because when you try to turn over, you touch this incision and stuff. She had to press on this incision and drain this stuff out of me. It was all. It was a horror show. We were crying. We were crying, both of us. It was just horrific.
Yeah.
But we knew something.
Mm.
We knew that God was sovereign, that he loves us, that he orchestrates everything, and that for some reason, we don't know necessarily what, to this day, we're like, why the hell did you do that?
Right.
It's like, but we just trust him. We trust him with it in the midst of the suffering. So there was still that sense of joy. We weren't happy,
Yeah.
but there was that sense of joy in the midst of all that. Had the second operation, that solved it. Went to physical therapy the last many weeks and feeling a lot better now. But
Yeah.
we all go through stuff like that.
Mhm.
Everybody suffers. Some
Yeah.
doesn't have to be physical,
Right.
Right.
It's so interesting how well I'm tracking with everything you're bringing up. Our last show, I had just read the first chapter of Colossians one morning, and I zeroed in on verses 11, 12, and 13.
Mhm.
And they were really good. And 11, said something about this being endued with power, and for all endurance and patience with joy. And I kept reading.
Yeah.
Then I stopped and went, what did he say back? And went back up that with joy. And then I sat there thinking, how many times have I endured something with joy?
Mhm.
I'm not typically joyful trying to be patient
Right.
about something. But what you're talking about, the other part of that is now, to me, this is the beginning of realization. Now I have, because of that verse, now I have an awareness.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
just sort of like, okay. I mean, I'm just believing that's absolutely true. We can be enduring and be patient with joy.
Yeah.
I believe that's possible. That's the beginning of realization for me. I'm now aware of that.
That's a good point.
And
That's
so
a very good point.
I like that awareness. And then I've looked back and thought, that's exactly how it's happened each time. There's something that's been uncovered, and now I'm aware of it. And then I'm sensitive to it or something.
Mhm.
And then I
Mhm.
begin to see it playing out,
Mhm.
And of course, it's all building blocks. It all
Yes.
for me, it's always been the sovereignty message.
Yeah. Oh,
Collecting
yeah.
verses in my phone and having different headings underneath them, and then discovering one day I can take all these headings out,
Yeah.
just leave them all under sovereignty.
Yeah.
I had all
Yeah.
these separate ones, and then I was like, this is all sovereignty.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I was thinking earlier too about like with sovereignty that when you think about, so many people believe in hell or annihilation, one or the other, and I was thinking those are God being sovereign and God being perfect love. And at the same time, you believe in this place of eternal torture for men, women, and children for forever and ever, or a place where he just disposes people like garbage. And God's sovereignty and perfect love, they're incompatible. They're incompatible. You can't possibly live in peace and joy if you think God is both sovereign and perfect love, and yet at the same time he's created this place where people are going to be tortured forever just because he didn't give them the faith or the understanding to believe the gospel while they were living.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just they're not compatible at all. I can't see how you can believe in hell or annihilation and think God is sovereign, as in he controls everything,
Right.
and he's perfect love.
Yeah.
And so they just are incompatible. I don't see how you can believe the two. So I think that's why a lot of people they believe in free will. They believe that so God is really not sovereign.
Right. They got to give him an out. I just was telling Dean that I was in my dad's garage this past week, and we were talking about Isaiah 45:7, and
Yep.
God saying, I form the light, I create darkness, I maker of good, create evil. And my dad just winced every time I said, he creates evil. I don't know about that, and I said, well, yeah,
Sure.
a little further down, he makes the ruiner for harm. And
Yes.
that's, I could see, and I understand it too. I'm not saying I don't understand,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
that was difficult for him to hear that.
Yeah.
I I never heard that in church.
No,
I didn't.
no,
Yeah.
it's framed. It's going to be
Framed
framed
a different
differently
way,
somehow.
yeah.
Or we don't want to say that God's doing this to people, this evil, or created this evil one to cause harm and suffering. That's not going to make sense.
You almost need to couch. You almost need to like preface it or add to, look, I believe this is true, that God is the maker of good and the creator of evil. I don't like it. I just don't. I actually am more comfortable that he's the one who created even that. Like he creates everything. Everything is out of God. Than this external force or whatever that he, kind of came in out of nowhere, and he's got to figure out what to do with it and deal with it. I'd rather that he creates that, because I can trust him that for whatever reason, that's, for everybody's ultimate good. An obvious one is the contrast. You can't know good without knowing evil of some kind. You've got to have that contrast. In Job it says, should we not we receive good from God? Should we not receive evil?
Yeah.
So it's pretty clear, that he's the author of all that. He put the dang tree of good and evil in the middle of the garden to make sure that they couldn't miss it. So but it's, then you say, okay, but do you believe in hell? Well, yeah, of course I believe in hell. So you're okay with God creating a place of hell, eternal conscious torment, but you don't like the idea of him creating evil? What would you how would you describe hell? I mean, it's kind of right there, but again, I don't know. There was some guy on X the other day, and we just weren't on the same page, but he was throwing the typical arguments back and forth. And, you try to share some truth with them, even it's scripture, and it's like, they just flip it around and twist it, turn it the other way, however they want it. They look at me and say, you're just twisting it around, making it anything you want, And then I think to myself, yeah, I guess I want to believe, and I do believe that God is love.
Yeah.
And that, love conquers all, and he's going to redeem all and reconcile all through Christ.
Right.
Is that so wrong?
No. I know. I think a lot on that topic too. I've come to wonder, and I've said this. I know there's a lot of arguments, or people we probably would have back years ago tried to make a defense for even hell or whatever, no matter how that was. I mean, I couldn't really do it, but if I was forced to, I would have done it, because I was just in a system. And like you guys mentioned earlier, we've done it just recently, or we're always in these little groups or systems, and it's easy to speak up for that. You think that's right. So that happens a lot of times. That's happening, I think. So people don't really even know what they're saying. They just think, well, this is in the Bible, so you're going to believe and stand on the Bible.
Yeah.
And then there's something else about the hell topic. I don't know if people really think it out, but you need, because of the suffering, the pain, it's so great. And there is so much injustice in this world. I mean, it's just not just. It's just not right. There's things that there's no way to cut it. And it's not even good enough for me. You guys mentioned the contrast. We were laughing because I just said that on the video. Sometimes that falls flat to me, contrast. Like, okay, got enough. We get it.
Yeah.
That's still not.
No, please, God, no more contrast.
No more contrast. Like, well, how much more right? I get that principle, but how does that then pay off? It's got to pay off in a great way, right? In a way that I don't even understand yet.
Yeah.
There's something it's all like an illusion. I can't really see it all clearly, but I trust it. So anyway, back to other people that seem to believe these things that are incompatible, like you said. But there's a deep down need for justice, or to set something right. You got to have it right. And somehow hell fits that bill. Without, you might not play it out. It's incompatible. It doesn't make sense, but it's in the Bible. And if this is going to make things right, you need something. It's like there's a need for making things right. And I don't know. I just say that to where even when the hell went away from me, I still had things in me that was thinking, oh, yeah, I need to, in the future, this group of people will get, they'll get set right, or this will be right. I view all that differently now. That
Yeah.
these grades or these,
Mhm.
somebody's higher, or somebody's going to miss out on something. And I look at all that differently.
Yeah.
But then you got some people that they're counting on their obedience and their contribution and all that. They're counting on that mattering, and that mattering, unfortunately, means someone else has to suffer because of their
Right.
obedience, and those people need to suffer for their disobedience. It's a strange thing. Today's email goodie from Clyde. Somebody proposed the number of mankind up to this point. I can't. I'm not even going to try to remember, but it was an enormous, billion.
I saw that.
Number.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
And then
Billions.
the little minuscule number that gets into heaven,
Yeah.
and it's exactly what you said. It's incompatible.
Yeah. It's just how could God? So this God who's sovereign controls everything, and yet and is all powerful. There's nothing that can stay his hand. That all he desires, he does, and he's going to send all these people. Well, then when you say send these people, then the argument comes back. Oh no, he's not sending them anywhere. They're sending themselves to hell. They would rather be in hell than heaven. I'm like, that makes no logical sense at all. If they understood the love of God, if heaven somehow was put right in front of their face, they're not going to choose hell. And on top of that, there's no place like that to choose. What are you talking about? So it's just a lot. Some of it is just, I don't know. It's just silly.
It also shows the depth of what we're under, as humans, what we're subjected to, because it is nonsensical. It's crazy talk, right? And there's the other side of it. There's millions and millions and billions of people that would look at us like I thought I come on this great belief there's no hell. Well, there's millions of people that know there's no hell. You know what I'm saying? Today.
Yeah.
Millions. They might not believe in a God. They might not believe we even come from a God. They know there's no hell. They're like, well, it's like, what kind of truth? You know some great truth or something? Well, of course they know there's no hell. It doesn't make any. It doesn't make.
And that's the turnoff. That's also the turnoff to people, who don't know, that they don't believe the gospel, don't understand the gospel, but they've heard of religion and they've heard of Christianity, and certain thoughts come into their mind and images and perceptions of Christianity from all the stuff that's been spewed out there over the years. And you're right. I think a lot of people laugh at the Christian religion as much as they do, cults. But it's unfortunate because, Christians talk about the love of God, and then out of the other side of their mouth is this place that they've misunderstood. They haven't studied the scriptures enough. Father hasn't compelled them to study the scriptures, and look at words like eon, or just simple words, and understanding what these words mean. They're all really, most of them are really tied with just death.
You just said how ridiculous, and it made me remember that when I jumped in the truck and was headed over here tonight, I turned on the radio, and there was a news about a Bible school or Sunday summer Bible school somewhere. I don't know exactly where. It didn't say. I don't remember where they said, but they had concerns because they had some sort of skit in which they took the devil, someone dressed up, and they took the devil to like a cage, and they had airsoft guns that sound like real guns, and they assassinated the devil.
Isn't it local?
I don't know if it was local, but they assassinated the devil with these airsoft guns. You could hear them going off in the background, pop, 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 And then they had somebody, a teacher or whatever, they asked him, he said, I'll tell you right now, if I could, I'd resurrect him every day just so I could kill him again.
Yeah. Amen.
And then
I'm gonna turn this
some
off.
some parents said that they were very uncomfortable with,
Oh, okay.
you know,
Yeah,
and
I
now
can see why.
driving down the road listening to this, just shaking my head going, it's just incredibly ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
those same people would be talking about this loving, merciful God, you know, but hey, I'd love to resurrect him every day so I can kill him again. Heavenly Christmas.
It shows what we're subjected to. Yeah, a lot of things are framed in. There's something hanging on. It's not us, and it's not them, but there's something within that hangs on to where someone else is the enemy, someone else is the problem. There's something going on, and we need to fight it. We need to stand. You know, and that starts shaping into. Next thing you know, you're standing on the truth, because I got the truth, and I'm standing on the truth, and I believe this, and it's like, wow. And it leads to things that you can view things like that. Like, what are you doing? What are we doing? These people are not our enemies. That's what we come to believe too. When we were trying to, whatever, get other people in or save them, you know, we was going to go on covert operations, as almost ridiculous as that, under the guise of, well, you know, we got the truth, and we'll give them the truth, no matter what it takes. I got the truth. It doesn't matter where the chips fall.
Yep.
If I upset someone or they get a little upset with me, you know, then you just turn that into, well, I'm now getting persecuted because they don't love the God. They don't love God like I do. They haven't seen God's love yet, so they're just persecuting me. It's like, what are we doing? These people are our enemies, and so it shows what humans are subjected to. It is ridiculous. And even though we've softened, or it seems like we've softened on some of these, the way we approach things, that doesn't mean I don't see more and more how ridiculous these things are. I mean, it's not that I've softened, it's all okay. It is all okay because it's a father, but it's like, oh my goodness. I didn't realize how subjected we are to this evil, to this vanity, to this unwilling or not unwilling, an inability to learn anything of the truth of Father unless He shows us.
Yeah, and the scenarios that, you know, present themselves so that you're, you know, like you're comfortable, and then all of a sudden you're put in a position where you're like, oh. My wife and I are driving down the road. I've got two of our grandkids in the back seat, and Anderson, he's 7 years old. And he's talking about something, and then right out of the blue, he goes, "You people heard of hell?" He's asking me and Beth, "You people heard of hell?"
Yeah.
And of course, my wife and I are not on the same page. She has a different set of beliefs that are more in line with her religious upbringing, you know. And we don't have we talk more about it now than we used to, but for the most part, we see things very differently.
She'll get Chris in line eventually.
Yeah,
It's taking her a while.
Okay.
But she immediately says, "Oh yeah, I know about hell." And I'm sitting there driving going, "Okay, now what do I want to, you know, what do I say something?" This is a 7-year-old who is talking about this terrible place. And
Did you ask where they had heard that?
And I'm just thinking,
Oh.
I just, you know, and then I tell myself, you know, when he gets a little older, there'll be an opportunity. He'll be a little more mature. There'll be an opportunity where he might say something, and I'll be able to say, "Pops doesn't see it that way." You know, this is how I understand it.
Yeah.
But you know, for the most part, I can let a lot of it go. But then, you know, it hits those scenarios where those are your grandkids, and they want them in that system. And I have an understanding of that. A while ago, we were just talking about these pastors in lofty positions and you know, pulling in some pretty good, you know, money. And I started thinking about what about those pastors, and Clyde talked about this not too long ago on one of his shows. The pastor who himself begins, in his study. And Clyde even shared, when he started looking at certain scriptures and he started thinking, okay, that says something different than I.
Uh-oh.
And I started thinking about those pastors that are like, oh no.
I actually think there are many. I think there are many pastors. I think there are many ministry leaders that at least their curiosity has been piqued, and this is something that's gnawing at them.
Yeah.
But
man, that's your livelihood. That's your
everything
family dependent on you. All that stuff.
You'd have to really start over. You'd have to start that part of your life over again.
Yeah, I get
and
it.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
I think about, like you mentioned, the 7-year-old. I feel so bad for these kids who are indoctrinated inside the church systems. Everything. Let's get these kids in here to Sunday school and to nursery and everywhere we possibly can, and let's start indoctrinating them now, just like any cult would. The earlier you can get to them, the greater chance that they're going to continue on and learn and continue to stick with this particular set of doctrine, etc. And then they'll become adults, and then they'll have a job, and they'll have money, and then they'll give us that money to keep the church. I mean, that's really how church. I'll never forget when we were in Indiana. There was a church that we had attended periodically there, and then we went to a Sunday afternoon, whatever, potluck, right? Isn't that what they do?
Yeah.
Isn't that they do potlucks? Yeah. And so the staff was talking, like the pastor and the assistant pastor guy and all that. And somebody said something like, I don't know, should we be pressuring these people to give, on such a regular basis here or whatever? And this one guy who was like the assistant pastor said, basically grow up. The church is just a business like any other business.
Wow.
And I remember hearing that, and it like struck me, and I was like, that's true. That is actually true.
Yeah.
Is they've got a staff, they have a budget, they have
lights on.
It's a big building, and you got to build it bigger, and yada yada yada. And you people, you should, if you want to share the gospel with your neighbor, that's fine, but keep giving us the money for our special programs that are anointed by God for evangelism, et cetera, et cetera. And then don't get me started on evangelism. That's like, okay, why are you even evangelizing if you really don't want most of the world to be saved anyway?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Don't you want to limit that? I would think you just back off as much as you possibly can. And also, how come I'm 68 years old. I've had 2 people in my entire lifetime try to share the gospel with me. They didn't know me, but to try, and I'm like, why is that? I mean, I don't have saved written on my forehead.
Right.
And if you had seen me throughout my life, you'd say, there's no way that guy is saved. and so it's like, are you really evangelizing? Are you really concerned about people being lost or whatever? How come you're not sharing the gospel with people?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so many contradictions there. I'm so glad I'm out of the church system, left that behind. There's so much freedom and so much more chance for maturity away from all that deception and nonsense.
Yeah.
And, the religion's message is basically, if it's to be, it's up to me, which is the world's message. If anything is to be, it's up to me. I've got to achieve it. I've got to do this. And that is so ingrained in people that they just assume that's, how God operates as well. If you want to be saved, you need to, believe in Jesus. If you want to be righteous, you need to do these things in order to be righteous. If it's to be, it's up to you. So, and that's
I
that
appreciate-
underlying message.
I appreciate what you just said about maturity. Getting out of that, the opposite being true. Staying in that keeps you immature.
Yes, absolutely.
System.
Yep.
I hadn't thought of it in those terms, and it makes a whole lot of sense. It keeps you stilted,
Yeah, and some of what you hear while you're sitting there in the pew or in your Sunday school group is very subtle. It's very subtle. A lot of the things you hear, right there, they're just very subtle messages that just kind of keep you, over into this overarching doctrinal message of if it's to be, it's up to me. And they're subtle messages, and it's, some churches are some churches are just bizarre, and you can kind of see it, but a lot of them are. God, some of the bizarrest churches in the world are the ones that have the biggest number of members, because people want to they want to feel something. I got to feel God. I got to experience God. There has to be something evidence. I need proof. I need something that shows me that God is operating. Don't you guys feel that way sometimes? That a lot of people
need. That's what humans, and then that's what, as humans, there is that need, so to speak. There is that want, that desire. So you'll grasp at anything. We've all done it. I mean, just without, you find your way, and you think, well, maybe this, no matter how bizarre, you can't see it. It's bringing me back when I first come onto some things. And when you're talking about those little subtle things, and I just started seeing things, and however God's got me wired, if I see certain things or misinformation or something's not right, I want to call it out and look at this. So I was on fire to call these things out, because these people that I grew up with and that mentored me, are good fathers and friends and husbands and teachers. They're good people.
Yeah.
And it wasn't so bizarre to me at the time.
Right.
These were really good. But then when I saw that, look, God's going to save all, and through Christ, and look at all these wonderful things and all these contradictions, and you start pointing them out. I was not ready for this, what I was getting back. And so at the time, that started getting framed into something else. Like I said, I went off track. I feel like it's all relative, but kind of went off into thinking, I'm seeing all this problem and all these things are against me. Now I see it in a more saddened way, to where I think all the people, anybody I could even think of, they have no idea. It's not a conspiracy. They don't know. They don't know they're doing this. You come to justify everything, especially the money and all that kind of stuff. Well, of course, logically, we could look at those things. They need money. They need to have money, so it gets framed in different ways to get people to give, but it's all for the greater good. So, what's the harm? So all these things, I'm convinced a lot of people, they don't know what they're under. They don't see these subtle lies that they're telling these kids every week.
Right.
So when you see it, somebody else, comes in and you see it, I'm like, I want to just attack it or scream or stop this. And then you're in that fight.
Yeah.
And I didn't see that they're not seeing, and they're certainly not hearing me when I'm trying to show them, like, look, God's really love. Well, I'm looking like an idiot, because all I'm doing is telling them they're wrong. That's all they can hear.
There's so many layers to that as well. We live in a time where technology has got us going so fast.
Yeah.
Everything's hurry up. We have been sharing about my frustration with my ability to let someone else think for me.
Okay.
So we got people, who are in the church pews, and they're he's supposed to know what he's talking about.
Right.
I ain't got time to study the Bible. I ain't got time.
Yeah.
They're sitting there, and he's got to do his job, just like I got to do my 40 week an hour job, whatever, 50, whatever. There's all these layers to all that.
Yeah.
The funny thing, not that long ago, I just was mentioning church, but someone around the table, we had a big family get together, and someone said, well, everything's a mess. Well, of course, everything's a mess. Church attendance and membership's down. And so, of course, in my head, I'm just sitting there listening, and I'm like, man, that's a good thing. That's a
yeah, exactly. Exactly. When I see those stats from like Pew Research, I get some of those emails sometimes. This is down. People are, less and less going to church.
I don't say nothing. I'm just sitting there. Yes. Yeah. They don't know how good news that is.
I know. We used to work at Lifetime Guarantee with Bill Gillum and Annabelle and Preston and all that. So one thing I remember one thing he used to say, I looked at my body the other day and I'm getting so old, my body needs, my earth suit needs ironing. And I'm feeling the same way these days myself. But anyway, they used to talk about people who had grade A performance flesh. The high achiever.
Yes.
The guy who's climbing up the corporate ladder, and the wife is just the perfect wife, and the kids are they're just they're all just high achiever, grade A flesh. And then you have other people who are like the ugly flesh, the sex, drugs, and rock and roll people, supposedly, with the ugly flesh. And I was thinking how if you have grade A performance flesh, any message of grace and any message where things are being taken away from you as you being part of the equation, those things are very, very difficult to hear.
Yeah.
And to accept, because your whole life has been, if it's to be, it's up to me. And look at me. I mean, I can just blow through all this stuff and, be a high achiever. And and so people like that, it's very difficult to be receptive to anything that we've been talking about today and numerous other things where they're not part of, the end result. It's very difficult. There's a lot of people like that. I remember, I don't know if were you guys involved in Promise Keepers like years ago or?
Yeah. Went to those.
Oh
yeah. Yeah. It was like,
I got saved a couple of those.
Yeah. Like multiple times. Yeah.
Probably.
But like, you're just like, nobody is there's one promise keeper.
Yeah.
One promise keeper. And it ain't us. It's not us. But it takes a while. Like for the grade A flesh guys, it took them a while before it would burn out. And some of them never did. But a lot of those guys, they just burned out on it. Yeah. Because everything was about, right? Everything was about, all right, here's the 10 things you need to do to love your wife better. Here's the 5 things that you need to do to, this, and just like, they're exhausted and they realize they can't do it.
That was all so much, and I succumbed to it, was the emotional.
Yes.
I mean, it was built.
There were good things. Yeah.
Good emotions.
There were
right.
Good with those.
Right. And we're all manly men. We're all manly men. We're gonna do this.
Yeah.
Because we're men.
Change the world.
Yes.
All these men are going to march out of here and change the world.
Right.
I can remember people walking out with their arms around,
singing.
Everybody walked out singing and stuff. And I look back at it now and I see how so many people, it was so emotional. And you're right. They were good emotions you could have, but you could also see how that was used to manipulate the whole message,
Yeah.
But yeah, we went to Promise Keep. I went with him and his dad. And
those are
to the big stadium events and all. Yeah. I back in the day when I was at seminary, this guy was really big time into Promise Keepers, and he was just saying how wonderful it was and how we need to do this and we need to do that, and how Promise Keepers is going to change the world. And so anyway, he drove us over to the stadium for the event, and when we get there, it's like $10 to park. So he says, okay, hold on one second, and he hangs a right-hand turn, and sneaks around to the back of the parking lot to avoid paying the $10 parking. And I'm like, dude, what you just blathered on and on about how you're a promise keeper and we all need to be promise keepers, and you're screwing over the parking company here for $10.
Yeah.
It's just like one more thing of hypocrisy, that you just shake your head and you're just like insane, just insane.
I remember, part of our journey, when we met you and, people brought you in to Grace Baptist Church, or however, I forget exactly how it first happened, but along my journey, learning about grace, I was getting farther into this grace message, which was awesome. So I don't know. I think I'm fine the whole way, but I'm learning. There's something driving me to do better, to learn more. The way I was brought up, certainly this grace message was resonating and hitting. I felt like I was under that kind of a grace type parents. It was all about love and all those things.
Yeah, of course.
And so, but anyway, coming with you guys and then learning from the Gillums and McVeigh and all these people. And we was on it, but then what was funny, and I could never admit any of this at the time, but Promise Keepers, nothing ever worked. See, thankfully, nothing ever worked.
No,
I could not say that because there was still some great things I was learning.
Yep.
There was good emotions around it. Everybody's patting me on the back. I'm doing the best I'm still me, just doing the best I can. I mean, so it's not all. I don't want to paint it all bad. I mean, there again, I can't paint it bad enough. How bad it is. All these subtle lies, all this is crazy. But it's just our journey. But I'll never forget the grace thing and other people, like you said, people with the high functioning flesh or whatever. It was funny the way it was always framed.
Yeah.
It never got so far though. I don't know anybody that ever really would kind of beat up on people, I feel like. But I don't know if anybody ever really takes full credit. They know it's not them. So the good stuff is like, no, it's God. It's Christ in me. It's the exchanged life, the
exchanged life. Yeah.
The exchanged life. It's Christ. It's good. Now the bad though, they would take, the bad's me. It's a weird backhanded way of like, well, really you're taking credit for everything. You take credit for the bad. You need to take credit for, you don't see what you're doing, but they would take responsibility for the bad, but not the good. Well, that's all Christ. Anyway, I'm getting off track.
That's a great point, Pete.
I remember the grace message and then learning these wonderful things and then getting to where, I know it's all Christ. So live your life through, do these. It's you. It's all 100%. I'm bought. So 100%. I know it. And within a minute or 2 minutes or whatever, I'm realizing, all right, well, I don't know what's coming out of me, but it ain't Christ, because now I'm in an argument with my wife, or now something else is going on. Like you said, now I'm going around the parking lot because I ain't paying that $10. I'm doing something else. What's going on? Start seeing it, but you can't really be honest about it. You can't really be, or you don't know how to be at the time. You don't know how to be like, this ain't working.
Yeah.
Christ ain't living. Christ ain't doing very good. You can't say, well, he ain't.
Right. You're right.
If it's all Christ and he's going to live. Well, but that was part that was missing that you guys got away from. Thankfully, I was able to see it, but you got away from, because the message, even with those great grace teachers, it was still, like you said, if it's to be, it's up to you. You have to somehow allow him to live through you. It's
That's
still
right.
Somehow. I don't know how that ever got taught, or how you guys how you would have to teach that, or if you ever got questioned on that. But how do you teach that? If somebody was really coming in trying to ask the grace teachers, like, okay, so you're saying I have to allow Christ to live through me? How do I do that?
Yeah.
How does that really happen?
Well, I mean, so that's part of our, growth over the years too, as we were fully into Exchange Life Ministries, and exactly that message is allowing you allow Christ. How arrogant is that?
What kind of spirit
you allow Christ to live his life through you, and when you don't, you're going to behave like a jerk, otherwise, because that's, and so, well, we taught that message, and we really could not explain it when it really got down to it. The bottom line of that whole message, we really couldn't explain it even in our own minds. And as much as it meant to us back then at the time, eventually Father dragged us out of that. And, we realized that, in him we live and move and breathe, and, everything that is occurring, he's orchestrating and compelling and moving us, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't need to give him permission to do so.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, we were gung ho on that whole message, but you know what it was? It was bondage. It really was bondage, because you're second guessing yourself all the time, and, and condemning yourself also. I'm not allowing Christ to live his life through me. That's why I'm pissing Marcy off or whatever, I'm just, and it was bondage to that.
Dean,
and then
then
you come out of it, and that's when you realize the freedom from outside of that. But you don't when you're in it. You're kind of like, well, I guess this is grace and this is freedom. But
Dean has a story I've always appreciated. When a good friend of Dean's concerned about the path he was on, and so they met in a diner or someplace.
Yeah, it's at McDonald's.
And this is a guy that Dean, appreciates too. They like one another. And the guy, eventually, he just says he's got real concerns. I think, I'm fearful I see a demon on you. And Dean's answer shows you, it shows you where his heart was. Dean's like, then I hope he never leaves.
Yeah.
Did you say that? Did you say that?
Yeah. Because
that's awesome.
It was a learning thing for me, but I was far enough along to where it was one of the last. I went to all these mentors and people that were important in my life.
Yeah.
And so when I come on to Salvation of All, because of when you started bringing it out and what God was doing with me at the same time, it was like, it's true. And it hit like a bomb, and it was boom, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Through that, I started telling people, and this was one of the guys I wanted to, and I kept trying to get better, as I was going. So I was a little more prepared. It's all funny, but anyway, I think I'm just knocking it out of the park this time. I'm loving, not being critical. I'm showing all these crazy contradictions in a loving way. I'm being all these wonderful things, pointing out how awesome this is, showing this guy that is a great father, logical, good,
grade A flesh.
Yeah,
good person. So showing these things, and I think I'm doing great in showing him how much peace I have and how much I'm good now with Father.
Joy. You're starting to experience true joy.
Yeah.
Showing that. Yeah. Okay. So then, but with that, he was, throughout this conversation, he was peppering me with, he's not hearing anything. See, at the time, I didn't realize this. I'm thinking everybody's going to hear what I said. So, of course, he's in a different place.
Blindness.
There again, it's not a conspiracy. He's really in a totally different place. So he's not hearing anything. I remember when we got there, he had me pray. It was real uncomfortable for me, but he wanted me to pray. And then later in the conversation, used that and used a couple other things. And he told me, literally, this is literal story. He told me that when he saw me get out of the car, he thought he saw something, like a presence, felt something when I prayed. Okay. So, and this is all leading up to where his great concern was, I was under, obviously, I'm glad he said it. It's an honest thing. He thought I was under satanic teaching. Obviously I was under bad teaching. This is not right what I'm saying. So that would lead to, this is a satanic teaching you're under. He was really concerned with it to the point of, he thought he saw things on me, thought I'm under this satanic teaching. It's in a loving conversation, but I had nothing else to say other than I'm so at peace now. If that's true, I'll give it to him. Maybe it's true. Maybe God has Satan on me. Maybe he did. And maybe you saw it. Maybe he saw it. Right?
Just flick him off. Just flick him off your shoulder or wherever he is.
It's all possible. But if all that's true, I just hope it stays. I was in such a good place. I hope that stays. And I'll still say
That's
it.
awesome.
I'll still say it today. I think we could say it today.
I've always appreciated
People
that
get it.
story.
People give us a hard time, no matter where we're at in our life. Right? Somebody's going to think, "Hey, be careful. Watch out." It's like, "Hey, go ahead and hit me with it. I don't need to be careful." You hit. What are you really saying? I know what you're implying, but go ahead and say it. Tell me. I'm under the satanic teachings, right? I'm not loving Christ the way you do, right? I'm not seeing it the way you do. Hit me with the real. What are you really getting at? Okay, I hear it. What am I going to do? Because it's such at peace. Maybe it's true. Maybe I'm fooled, and I'm starting to embody Satan himself somehow all around me. Well, I hope it doesn't go away. I mean, what else?
That's awesome.
Right? What else are we supposed to say to somebody?
What did he say? What did he say when you said that?
That was at the end. When I said it, I was at the very end. I was in the car leaving. It was a loving conversation.
Out the door.
It was very loving. It was a good
He
conversation.
and the demon were back in the car.
It wasn't a bad conversation.
Were you driving or was the demon driving? Who was driving?
It was just when he said that, and as he was saying those things, I was just like gave it to him. If there's something on me, I hope it doesn't like it. But I think that happens all the time with us, with other people. They might not use the example of see a demon on you, but just all those little subtle things of be careful, watch out who you're listening. Watch out there. It can be real subtle. It's like what are we doing? What is there to be careful about?
Yeah. That's the sort of, we got a lot of that when Marcy and I were sharing what we were sharing, and it was very condescending from a lot of people. They were almost taking parental role in it.
Hi guys.
What are you doing here? I'm in the middle of my special interview.
Oh gosh, you're recording right now. I'm sorry.
Perfect. I'm so glad you stepped in. How are you doing, girl?
I'm fine. You all were sounding like you were having.
Hi, Marcy.
Oh my gosh.
He pops in.
Steve, don't move. I think I see a demon on you. Just don't move. Let me help you with that.
They're all over. You can see them.
There's at least 5 of them right there.
Hey guys, no, you sounded like you were having too much fun, and I cannot handle you all having fun without me. So I had to come in and say hello.
That's awesome.
Okay, you can go now. You can leave now. Time for you to go.
We're
Get off my
wrapping up.
shoulder.
We're going to get him back to you here in a little bit.
Hi.
Bye, hon.
Steve, where'd you go? Where'd Steve go? Oh, he just wanted to say. He just wanted to say. So let me get this straight. Steve is like lurking off on the side here, invisible.
Yes.
But he's hearing everything and he's seeing everything
I've
that's
heard
going
everything.
on.
I've had an enjoyable time. I've laughed quite a few times.
We always have a good time, the three of us.
Yeah. You were talking about this whole grace thing wasn't even working. I remember I was a volunteer chaplain in prison in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and we had one guy who was just kind of your traditional. He was a Mennonite guy, so he was kind of just traditional, works oriented. We had a Pentecostal, we had a grace guy, and we had an ex-convict who kind of did the tough love thing. And none of them worked.
None of them worked.
No.
That's awesome. That is. Yeah, that's a great story.
Good grief.
That is
I was thinking a minute ago about how I've changed on how Father's changed me on prayer itself too. Like I never have any formal prayer time with God at all. It's just like I'm just yapping with him on a regular basis as as he compels me to do so. I mean, I'm not talking to him all day long, but I see him as my father. I do. I tell you, and also, I don't know if you guys, I'm not trying to shill a book, but this book right here,
Oh yeah.
this
yeah.
book
I've
was
heard- yeah.
so incredibly helpful to both me and Marcy that Clyde wrote, that just helped us understand, that God is not this far off bearded guy. Not that we ever actually thought him like that, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's my father. He's our father. He loves us. He cares for us. And it's just the intimacy just from that book and all the scriptures in there to back everything up. It's just life changing for me and Marcy. And so prayer is like, you can cut this out if you want, but I love this. You guys, we talked about this, right?
No, I know.
From Naked Pastor.
Naked pastor.
Yes,
This is so real. This
Yes.
is real.
you're
You know,
exactly right.
Like, don't tell me about all your, eloquent prayer words and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Life can suck. And we have, we've got to go to him and say, what are you doing? What the hell? This is, and that's the real relationship with Father, instead of the formal, fake, phony, highfalutin words relationship, religious stuff.
I just got through telling my daughter, she's got an autistic son, and he is a lot. He's great. We love him. He's just a fantastic little guy, but he's a lot.
Yeah.
He's got a lot going on. And then she had twins, and now we've got an NF1 diagnosis. It's a neurological disorder for the little girl, Eleanor. And, your heart's breaking for the little one and the potential for these symptoms down the road.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, it's all on my daughter. She's just overwhelmed.
Yeah, sure.
And she asks me, what more? And I just told her, I said, tell him how mad it makes you.
Yeah.
He's got big shoulders, honey. Tell him this ticks you off. Tell him exactly how you feel. He can handle it.
Yeah. Not like you're in an actual relationship with him, like he's real.
I just told her that last week. I said, let him have both barrels. He can take it.
Scriptures that come to my mind these days are like our Elohim, or our God, is in the heavens. All that he desires, he does. Other verses about his sovereignty, about, that the earth is the Lord's and all it contains, the world and those who dwell in it. Just things like that, to me, I don't know, they're just so comforting.
Yeah.
Just to, in my head, and he brings them to mind for me,
Right.
which is, just part of his love. But sometimes that's all you need to hear. I told Dean, like when Dean reached out to me a week or so ago about doing this, I was like, I'd love to do it. I love you guys. I love talking about, and I know we would talk about all sorts of, great things. But I said, I'm just kind of living life. I'm not really hungry to get into the word right now. I'm just not. Sometimes I think you study the word enough in kind of phases, and God takes you through all that, and then you're just kind of at peace with it. You don't need any more than what he's just shown you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, life right now is just very simple. I'm not reading a lot of these books. I'm not in my Bible on a regular basis. But you know what? It's okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That's
You know,
because
that's
you're
where-
unshackled.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know,
I
we were talking about earlier. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
unshackled. Yeah.
I don't feel the I'm like, oh boy, I haven't picked up the Bible. I haven't read any of these books lately. I haven't done this, that, the other thing. But it's okay.
Yep.
It's all right.
No,
sometimes you
it's
just.
We're never.
Sometimes
alone.
it's just time to
It might.
enjoy life. Just live life. There will be suffering, there will be pain, there will be heartache, there'll be good times as well. You know, life here on the spinning ball of dirt in the middle of nowhere kind of sucks at times. But I don't feel the need to constantly be in study in the Word. And I'll check in on the you guys. I'll check in on Steve's video or Clyde from the conference or something like that. I really enjoyed that conference in Knoxville. I think that was that was so much fun. I was like, for the first time in years, surrounded by people of a like mind, and just enjoying each other and talking about things and asking each other questions and all that. It was just thrilling to me. You need that every once in a while.
Yeah, we loved it. Yeah, we're looking forward to the next one, whenever that is.
I love what you're saying too, what you're sharing, just about the freedom as far as studying or the Word and all that. Yeah, it's just that's what I want to say.
Do you?
Yeah, do whatever we want, right? We can all, and I want to tell other people that, of course, just do what you want. It's relative. I know we don't have free will and all that, but it's like, just do whatever you want, because what we know down deep, down deep what we really want, what we really desire. And it's that thing we can't even tap. You can almost not even explain that deep joy, a deep love, a deep peace, something that we really haven't, we're just learning about. We just got little glimpses of, I feel like. And so that's what we want. And so that's what, so under that guy, it's like, do whatever we want. So for you, for me, for anybody, at some time, it might be time to be like, okay, enough Bible. Don't need that now. Don't want that now. Can't wait for our Father to show me here in a couple months when I pick something up, read a couple words, and be like, oh, that's what Paul's talking about. That word. You'll be like, oh, there it is the whole time. You're never going to get that from studying it anyway.
Nope.
Anyway.
Nope. And then we know something too. Like we know, God is at work in us, both to want to, and to work for His good pleasure. Okay. So,
there you go.
When you feel like, when you start condemning yourself about something, it's like, this is God. He's work. And I'm a piece of clay. I'm pretty sure, not even a robot.
Yeah.
Like a lump.
That's right. A lump.
And that's okay.
Perfectly okay.
I want to be the lump.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the guy, running things. I'm glad he runs the show, not me.
Yeah. This has been great. I appreciate that you made time for this.
Oh, and anytime. I love hanging out with you guys and just, talking about this stuff and bouncing things off each other. And hopefully some of this, if you decide to use it, some of this will be encouraging, to someone.
That's what we hope. I think for the most part, our show has been hoping that the things we share, there's a similarity or something, and a person goes, "Oh, I thought I was the only one that thought that," or and so that's been a big purpose, just to encourage, So that's what this show has been about, and so I appreciate everything you shared. So.
No, you guys are awesome. I love the way you present what you present to people, and however God leads you going forward, it's okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we do appreciate that. Yeah, we'll use this.
Oh, absolutely.
Somehow we'll use this.
It'll probably be broke up.
Yeah, we'll break this up.
We'll break it up, and then
break it up, and then edit it. Make sure you take Steve out of there. Marcy, remove Marcy, please. She gets enough attention.
Steve, you got any ideas for us?
That was all good, man.
Yeah. No, you got a treasure trove of people to choose from for sure.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
All right. I'll how do I get out of here? What do I do?
You're trapped.
There you go. You're gone.
All right.
See ya.
Adios.